The golden afternoon sun filtered through the kitchen windows of the suburban home on Maple Street, casting warm shadows across the hardwood floors. Amara hummed softly as she prepared dinner, her dark curls tied back in a loose ponytail. The scent of garlic and herbs filled the air. Beside her, lying in his usual spot near the refrigerator, was Thor, a massive German shepherd with intelligent amber eyes and a coat like black and tan silk. His ears twitched at every sound, constantly alert, constantly watching over his family. Jack would be home any minute from his shift at the hospital. It was their 5-year anniversary, and Amara had planned everything perfectly. The table was set with candles. The wine was breathing. Their life together was beautiful, peaceful, safe. Or so she thought. Thor suddenly lifted his head, his body going rigid. A low rumble emanated from deep in his chest, a sound Amara had never heard before in 3 years of having him. The hair along his spine stood on end like a dark ridge. "Thor, what's wrong, boy?" But Thor wasn't looking at the door. He was staring at the basement entrance, his lips curling back to reveal sharp white teeth. And then she heard it, a soft creak from downstairs where no one should be. Amara's blood turned to ice. Her phone was upstairs in the bedroom. Jack wasn't home yet. The basement door stood slightly ajar, and she was certain, absolutely certain, she had closed it that morning. Thor moved in front of her, positioning his body between Amara and the basement stairs. He didn't bark. He didn't whine. He simply stood there, a 90-pound wall of muscle and loyalty, his ears pinned back, eyes locked on the darkness below. Another creak, then another, footsteps, slow, deliberate. Someone was coming up. Amara's heart hammered against her ribs. She grabbed a knife from the counter with trembling hands, her mind racing. Who was in her house? How did they get in? Should she run? Should she hide? But Thor didn't move. He stood his ground, and something in his stance told her to trust him. The basement door swung open wider. A figure emerged from the shadows, a man tall and thin, wearing a dark hoodie that obscured most of his face. Dirt streaked his clothes. His hands were empty but clenched into fists. "Who are you?" Amara's voice cracked. "Get out of my house." The stranger stopped at the top of the stairs. For a long moment he said nothing, just stared at her with eyes she couldn't quite see. And then Thor did something that shocked her to her core. The dog's aggressive stance melted away. His tail began to wag, and he whimpered, a sound of pure, desperate recognition. "Thor, no," Amara commanded, confused and terrified. "Come here." But Thor didn't obey. He moved forward slowly at first, then faster until he was standing before the stranger. The massive dog pressed his head against the man's leg, whining and circling, his entire body trembling with what could only be described as joy. The stranger's hands, shaking now, reached down to stroke Thor's head. "Hey, boy," he whispered, his voice broken and hoarse. "I missed you too." Amara's mind couldn't process what she was seeing. Thor was her asterisk dog. She'd adopted him from the shelter 3 years ago. The shelter said he'd been found abandoned, no chip, no owner. He'd been hers ever since. He'd never acted like this with anyone except her and Jack. "I'm calling the police," she said, backing toward the landline on the wall. "Wait." The stranger pulled back his hood with slow, deliberate movements. What Amara saw made her gasp. His face was gaunt, scarred along the left cheek and weathered beyond his years. But his eyes, those eyes held something she couldn't quite name: grief, exhaustion, and something else. Desperation. "My name is Marcus," he said quietly. "And 3 years ago that dog saved my life. He's not yours, he's mine. His real name is Shadow." Amara's grip tightened on the knife. "You're insane. Get out before." "Before what?" "Before your husband gets home." Marcus's expression shifted, something dark crossing his features. "Before Jack gets home and finds me here." A chill ran down Amara's spine. "How do you know my husband's name?" Marcus's next words made the world tilt sideways. Because Jack knows exactly who I am, and he's the reason I disappeared. The room seemed to shrink. Outside, a car door slammed, Jack's car in the driveway. You have about 30 seconds before he walks through that door, Marcus said urgently, his eyes locked on Amara's. So I'm going to talk fast and you're going to listen. Thor or Shadow, or whoever he was, sat between them, looking from one human to the other, torn. 3 years ago, I was Jack's partner at the hospital. We worked late nights in the ER together. I discovered he was stealing medications, serious ones, opioids, sedatives, and selling them. When I confronted him, Marcus touched the scar on his face. He tried to kill me. That's a lie, Amara whispered, but her voice lacked conviction. I woke up in the woods outside the city, left for dead. Shadow here, he was my dog, my service dog from when I came back from overseas. He found me, kept me warm, brought me water from a stream, for 3 days until I could walk again. The front door handle turned. Jack reported me missing, told everyone I'd relapsed, that I'd stolen drugs and run. He took everything from me, my career, my reputation, my life. And then, Marcus's voice cracked. He took my dog, brought him to a shelter across state lines, made sure I'd never find him. Amara, I'm home. Jack's cheerful voice rang out from the entryway. Marcus met her eyes. I've been living off the grid, gathering evidence, trying to stay alive long enough to prove the truth. Shadow's microchip was removed, but I finally tracked the shelter's records when I saw your address. Jack appeared in the kitchen doorway, grocery bags in hand. His smile froze when he saw Marcus. The bags hit the floor, cans rolled across the tile. And Amara saw something in her husband's eyes she'd never seen before, pure, murderous rage. You couldn't stay dead, could you? Jack's voice was ice. Thor's reaction was instantaneous. The dog planted himself in front of Marcus, a low, threatening growl rumbling from his chest, aimed directly at Jack. Amara felt reality crumbling around her. Thor had never, not once, shown aggression toward Jack. He greeted him every day with joy. They played together. Jack fed him treats. But now, watching her husband's face transform into something cold and calculating, she saw what Thor had always known. Jack, her voice was barely a whisper, tell me he's lying. Jack's jaw clenched. For a long moment he said nothing. Then his shoulders sagged and a bitter laugh escaped him. Does it matter? It was 3 years ago. We've built a beautiful life, Amara. Don't let this destroy that. You tried to kill him. I made a mistake. I panicked, but he survived, didn't he? Jack's eyes darted between them. We can fix this. Money, a fresh start for Marcus. No one has to know. Marcus pulled out a phone from his pocket, an old, battered thing, and held it up. 6 months ago, you started doing it again. Stealing, selling. I've been documenting everything, every transaction, every stolen bottle. It's all here, and it's all backed up in 3 different locations. The mask dropped completely from Jack's face. You have no idea what you've done. He moved toward Marcus, but Thor erupted in a fury of barking, snapping, positioning himself as an unmovable barrier. The message was clear. You'll have to go through me. Amara's hands shook as she pulled out her phone. I'm calling the police. Amara, please. Jack's voice turned pleading. I love you. Everything I did was for us, for our future. You built our future on lies. Tears streamed down her face. You stole someone's life. You stole his dog. As the sirens wailed in the distance, Thor stayed firm, protecting the man who had once saved him, just as he had saved that man years before. The footage from Amara's home security camera spread across the internet like wildfire. The video showed everything: Marcus emerging from the basement, Thor's instant recognition, the dramatic confrontation. Amara had downloaded it while waiting for the police, and in a moment of clarity, uploaded it to social media with a simple caption: Dogs never forget. They always know. Within 24 hours, it had 50 million views. The story unfolded across every news channel. Marcus's military service was verified. Jack's theft was confirmed, not just from 3 years ago, but recent crimes too. The district attorney built a case within days. But the world was captivated by Thor, the German shepherd who protected a stranger, the dog who remembered his original owner after 3 years, the loyal companion who had literally saved a man's life, been stolen away, and still recognized him when it mattered most. Animal behaviorists appeared on morning shows. Dogs have incredible long-term memory for people they've bonded with, they explained, and they can sense character in ways we don't fully understand. Thor's response had gone viral, not because it was unusual for a dog to remember, but because it proved something the world desperately needed to believe: that loyalty exists, that love persists, and that some bonds can never truly be broken. 6 months later, Amara stood in a small park, watching from a distance. Marcus knelt in the grass, his face healthy now, the gauntness gone. He'd gained weight. The scar was still there, but it no longer looked so raw. Beside him, Thor, Shadow, rolled on his back in the sunshine, paws in the air, making those silly groaning sounds dogs make when they're perfectly content. The divorce had been finalized last month. Jack was serving 8 years. Amara was in therapy, rebuilding, learning to trust her instincts again. She'd asked Marcus if he wanted Shadow back. It was the right thing to do. They'd had 3 years together, yes, but Shadow had saved Marcus's life. The bond between a veteran and his service dog was sacred. Marcus had cried when she'd told him, "Are you sure?" "He was always yours," she'd said. "I was just keeping him safe until you could come home." Now, watching them together, she knew she'd made the right choice. Shadow belonged with Marcus. It was written in every wag of his tail, every time he pressed his head against Marcus's chest. Before she turned to leave, Marcus looked up and caught her eye. He stood, walked over, Shadow trotting beside him. "Thank you," Marcus said simply, "for believing, for being brave enough to see the truth." "Thank you," Amara replied, "for showing me that real love, the kind between you and Shadow, it doesn't fade. It doesn't forget, even when the world tries to erase it." She knelt down one last time, scratching behind Shadow's ears the way he loved. "Take care of your dad, boy. He needs you." Shadow licked her hand once, then returned to Marcus's side, where he belonged, where he'd always belonged. As Amara walked away, she heard Marcus call out, "Hey, Amara, if you ever need anything at all, we're here, both of us." She turned back, smiled through tears. "I know." The viral video's caption was updated one final time, asterisk. Says Shadow and Marcus, a veteran and his service dog separated by violence and lies, reunited by loyalty and truth. Shadow never forgot the man who needed him, and in the end he protected them both. Because that's what real love does, it fights, it remembers, it saves. This isn't just a viral moment. This is a reminder that some bonds are unbreakable and that dogs see our souls better than we see ourselves. May we all love as faithfully as Shadow. May we all be worthy of such devotion. Views, 347 million and counting. Sometimes the stranger who enters your house isn't the danger. Sometimes he's the truth you needed to hear. And sometimes, a dog's love is the only compass that points toward home.